Robert Carrier is well known throughout the world as a restaurateur and writer on food. He cooks for the sheer fun of it. He'll enthuse about food for hours, maintaining that good cooking is no secret and that anyone can share its pleasures.
You can wine her and dine her and over hors d'oeuvre. As you summon the wine, you can summon the nerve to ask her the questions you'd never dare, like whether she'd like moule marinière. Food is the music of love, play on. Food is the music of love. Food is the music of love, play on. Food is the music of love.
You know, we restaurateurs are funny people, and we see many, many strange things. Sometimes when a young couple comes in, and they're rather gauche, and this is their first time there, and they're looking for reassurance. And as the warmth of the wines, as the pleasure of the food, as the warm ambiance hits them, you know that everything's going to be all right.
Premarital Chateaubriand is a must if two people are trying to learn how to trust. And you'll find how to solve all the problems you get when she hates aubergine, but you both love courgette. Food is the music of love, play on. Food is the music of love. As the candles burn lower, you offer your soul, and you set the right mood with Profitero. The evening's complete, there's just one thing to say with a stiff upper lip. L'addition, s'il vous plaît. Food is the music of love, play on. Food is the music of love. Food is the music of love, play on. Food is the music of love.
There are basic hungers in life. For food, for sustenance, for friendship, and for love. Like friendship, I think food is a warming, exciting, satisfying thing.
Very good, Terry, but could you put a bit more brandy in that? Just a tiny bit.
Allez, allez!
Allez, allez! Un géant, le géant des mers, là.
Ils sont comme moi, voyez, ils sont pas mal.
Brillat Savarin, the great gastronome of the 18th century, once said, "Tell me what you eat, and I will tell you what you are." He, of course, was thinking of the class distinctions which are revealed by a man's choice of food. But it goes much deeper than that. We really are what we eat. The proteins, the vitamins, the amino acids, the minerals, they actually build our bodies and our minds and make us what we are in our personality, our way of life, and in our way of loving. The French are very fond of equating food with love. I've often heard them say, "Tell me a pleasure that we can enjoy 3 times a day, every single day of our lives, without getting tired of it." I've also heard them say, and this is usually some old man at the bar of some little restaurant, "Name another pleasure, Bob, like eating, that goes on and on after all the other pleasures have gone." We never get tired of eating. Perhaps twice a week, we can have a fabulous meal that'll make us dream and make us remember and fill us with warmth and satisfaction. That's what eating's all about.
Here we are, old, tired businessmen eating away a marvelous meal with the candles and everything. But in the old days, it wasn't used for that at all. It was used for love. You didn't bring your wife here in this wonderful little room with all its...
Why not your wife?
Well, you're not supposed to make love with your wife. That's défendu, you know that.
I think my 5.5 years of living in France influenced me food-wise more than anything else in my life. All of the style of eating that we enjoy today in the restaurants in this country, and in France particularly, was brought to perfection in the early 19th century in France and Paris and the restaurants there. Great restaurants like this one, with their cabinet particulier, where one could go and have a dinner alone with just the person of your choice, just the two of you, waited on with almost unseen hands, bringing you your dishes so that you, and you alone, were the king and queen of that tiny room. Here you could eat divinely well, and if the mood took you after a bit of champagne and after a wonderful meal, then, screened from the world, you could love divinely too. Mr. Felix Topolinsky, whose family has owned La Pérouse for generations, is a bon vivant, with decided views on the subjects of food and love.
Mr. Topolinsky, do you think that food helps in love? Une ambiance, la nourriture et tout ça, ça aide beaucoup à l'amour?
Oui, l'ambiance.
L'ambiance plus que
L'ambiance, on dit que c'est the mood. The mood.
Yes.
L'ambiance is the mood.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very good for the mood.
Let's make a toast to the things you like best in life.
The things I like best of life is love, love, and love. And to finish with, soufflé breton.
Oh, I love it. I'll take that.
I think a child first learns mainly through food and through his desire to feed himself and to live. I think he learns from his mother, first of all at her breast, of this need for nourishment, this need for understanding, and this need for love. It's all connected in a funny way with food, because that's what she's giving him when she gives him her first nourishment. She's giving him her love. I remember as a child I had a marvelous appetite. I always loved to eat. But many of my little friends didn't, so I used to be invited to lunch so that Harry or Betty or Jimmy would eat up all their spinach like I did. A lunch with a family and friends, all relaxed and easy, has a lot to offer, I think. It's a personal ritual that binds family life together and gives it stability, especially when everybody's involved.
Yes, look at that. Look at that then.
Coming to lunch with my friends the Cleverleys and the boys always brings back memories of my childhood. Ooh. See all the water coming off now? Can you do that then? Try that with the next one.
When I was 6, a very traumatic thing happened to America. In 1929 came the great crash. And we'd always led a very comfortable life in my family. We had a 14-room house and a great estate and servants. And all of a sudden, my mother and her 3 sons and her husband were left without anything. They'd invested badly, as many people in America did. And instead of being very downcast by it all, she was rather marvelous about it. And she made all the boys, my 2 brothers and myself, help. My job was to wash the lettuce and dry each leaf, leaf by leaf, and to set the table. And we used to set it for the family, for the 5 of us and a guest or 2, or whoever we had, as if it were a party all the time. We were all in this great kitchen. It was a very nostalgic place. One of the nicest memories for a child in life is the warmth of a kitchen, the smells of a cake baking, of bread baking. I feel sorry for kids today whose mothers only make frozen foods or make a cake out of a cake mix.
On the bottle.
I'll pour the wine.
That's terrific.
During Prohibition, when the sale of alcohol and its consumption was forbidden by law, rum runners used to come down the Hudson River where we had our house in Tarrytown, 25 miles from New York City, and they'd be caught by the local police, our own harbor police. And they used to throw over their champagne and their caviar into the water so that they'd be innocent, of course, and there'd be no evidence. My elder brother and his friends used to go out in their boats in the mornings with grappling hooks and get cases of champagne and cases of caviar. And I remember my father, who was a judge and a lawyer, turning an absolute blind eye to this, honest judge that he was. And so we used to have all through the Prohibition marvelous wines and champagnes, thanks to the industry of my brother and his friends.
How about that, Jess? You know what that's got in it? It's got wine. It's got brandy. It's got onions. It's got bacon.
I remember various friends of mine and the things they liked, and how they weren't allowed a dessert or a sweet unless they'd eaten up all their meat. I never had any of this problem. And I think it's mainly because everyone in my family enjoyed their food. Also, I think it was because we were treated as adults. We were allowed to participate. We were allowed to say what we liked and what we didn't like.
Because if you leave a messy plate, you'll have salad and gravy.
My mother always said that when you're cooking for someone and having them home at your own table, you're actually giving a part of yourself. So she would have loved this place, Hindlesham Hall, my new house in Suffolk, because it's both a home and a restaurant. I've always wanted to create the kind of great house that's open to the public, for lunch and for dinner, and for musical evenings and balls. Like a French chateau, in fact, and Hindlesham seemed to be the perfect setting for it. I remember when I first saw it, it was all lit like it is today, absolutely solid gold by the sun. And that's why I painted it this color, this golden apricot, because I tried to recreate that. My mother always loved parties and entertaining, and if you just mentioned a party to her, her eyes would sparkle, and she'd put on her newest dress and would be all ready to enjoy herself. My father didn't like parties because he was more of an introverted person. He loved smoking his pipes, and he loved gardening. He loved fishing, and he loved reading more than anything else.
One of the sad things that I remember was that he always said that he'd love to write. He'd decided to buy himself a typewriter, and he would sit down and he'd write the great American novel. What he told me, and his eyes twinkled when he said it, "You know, Bob, the most awful thing is, I found I had nothing to say." I think that what he thought was that inspiration came to him like it came to Thackeray. And what he should have known is that none of us have anything to say. We have to sit in front of an empty page, and we have to work, and we have to hope, and we have to dream that something will come. I write in a very different way when I do my cookbooks and my recipes and my articles, is that I sit in front of the empty page and I force myself to write. And I write a few things, then I have it retyped. And then I take a pair of scissors, and I cut it up, and I pin it together in a different order, and then I add to it. And then I forget about it, and I go out and have a marvelous dinner somewhere, and I come back sometimes at 1, 2 in the morning, and I feel marvelous, and I suddenly sit down and I write 1,000 words. And I think this is what one has to do. One has to leave oneself open to writing. I don't think anything comes to anyone. I think we must slave away at it and work at it.